I'm gonna fix the curve of your golf ball, the contact that you make, and the trajectory that you hit the golf ball without even changing your golf swing. And you know what? It's gonna only require one simple adjustment. I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Kolb, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV, and we have literally done thousands of videos talking about the golf swing. But believe it or not, the position of the golf ball can change your trajectory, it can change your curve, and it can definitely improve your contact. And that's what I'm going to teach you about here today. So pay attention, because we got some golden nuggets that we're going to be dropping today for you. So let's dive right into it. Now, I've got my board set up here. This is a vertical line board. The team and I developed this specifically to help people do all kinds of things. Fix the slice, fix the hook, hit a high launch with their driver, you name it. But today we're talking about ball position. All right, so here's what I want you to understand. Let's talk about, first of all, something that maybe even a lot of you know, that's trajectory. All right, so let me go ahead and just put a ball here on the vertical line board right here in the middle. Okay, I've got the gray line, which is my target line. All right, so when I put the board down, I always point the board so the gray line is pointed at my target. I've also got the alignment bar down here. I've got that set up in a neutral position, but we're talking about ball position here today. So I've got numbers. I go from 0 to 8, and I go from 0 to 8. So when I set up to the golf ball in a neutral position, I want the ball to be kind of off the logo on my shirt in the middle of my pullover right here, right? Okay, so that would be a normal position. But if I move the ball back in the stance, let me go ahead and just set up here neutral. So in this position right here, okay, my lead foot is pretty much between the 6 and the 7, all right? But if I want to hit the golf ball a little bit lower, all I got to do is move my lead foot more out over the 8 and my trail foot more towards the 7 on the back. By simply moving the ball back in my stance, that's going to actually bring the trajectory down. If I wanted to hit a little bit higher, of course I do the opposite. So I'm going to go neutral, and if I just move my lead foot, so now it's maybe more over the 5, now the ball is going to go ahead and fly a little bit higher. Let me just go ahead and hit a shot to demonstrate that. So I'm going to set up neutral. Here we go. Lead foot kind of over the 7 and the 8. Now let's say I want to hit a little bit higher. So I'm going to move my foot back a little bit. That moves the ball a little forward. And when the ball goes a little bit more forward, ball will come out a little bit higher. So that's tip number 1. Simply the changing of the ball position can change the trajectory. You want to hit a little bit lower, move the ball back a little bit. You want to hit a little bit higher, move it a little bit forward. All right, now let's also talk about contact. Okay, so if you've watched any of our stuff here at US Golf TV, and hopefully already you subscribe to the channel and you ring the bell and you leave the comment in there where you're from and what you like us to talk about, because we read those every single morning, Nick and I do, and we love hearing from you. We love hearing where you're from and what it is that you want us to work on. But if you've watched any of those videos, you know, all right, because you're an educated, experienced golfer, right, that the club is basically swings in a circle, right? The club it starts on the ground, it goes back, it goes up, it comes back down the circle, it bottoms out, it goes back up the circle. For all practical purposes, right? Okay, there's some changes to that, but basically it's working on this type of an arc, kind of like a hula hoop, right? So when we change the ball position, that can change where the club comes in contact with the ball. So if I were to go ahead and let me just put another ball in here. So one of the things I love about the vertical line board is I can hit from the same spot all day. All right, you ever go to those ranges and they're kind of beat up? Our range is beautiful here. We're lucky, but some ranges there's no good turf and you're constantly trying to spend half your day trying to find good turf. Well, with the board I can just put a ball down and hit it. But I've got the gray line here, right? And we've got this neutral position. And so the club right now, if I make a good golf swing, would contact the ball just in a slight descending motion. But if you tend to hit behind the golf ball, you could just simply move the ball back in the stance a little bit. Okay, and when you move the ball back in your stance, that will help you catch the ball a little bit more on a downward angle of attack, okay? Now, with an iron, if anything, I think it's better to have the ball too far back in the stance than too far forward. Now, when you're hitting a driver, it's the opposite. You want to move it a little bit forward. We've got an entire chapter on that in our book, The Bad Lie. So, tip number 2 is that if you're struggling with contact, move that ball back in the stance. So let's go ahead and hit another one. And you know already, when I move the ball back slightly in the stance, that's going to help me improve the contact, but also bring the ball flight down a little bit. So let me go ahead, and I got the ball back from my neutral position. Let's hit a shot. Yeah, definitely. A little lower ball flight, and the contact was excellent. So that's a little bit on trajectory and contact. Now let's talk about direction. Okay, so let's put a ball back in here again. Now, when it comes to direction, we know this, we've done a ton of videos on slicing and hooking and things like that, that in general, all things being equal, okay, when the club is traveling in a slight downward motion for a right-handed golfer, okay, it's moving more to the right of the target line. Okay, let me say that again because I want you to understand this. This is important. When the club is in a downward motion, it's still traveling to the right of the target in general. Okay, some of my golf instructors, I know you're gonna get after me a little bit because I know there's more to it than that. Okay, but all right, now when the club starts traveling up, okay, it starts moving where? You can even see that on the camera there. When it starts traveling up, it starts traveling left a little bit, all things being equal. So what's important to understand there is that when you move the ball back in your stance, you're more likely to bring the ball down flight-wise. Okay, your contact might improve. Okay, probably will improve, but you're also much more likely to be able to hit a draw because the club is traveling more in to out. It's one of the reasons with the vertical line board, we put the red lines and the blue lines on here in our tour draw zone. With the blue there, we actually kind of work on that. So let's go ahead and hit one more shot here. So I'm gonna get set up. All right, here we go. I'm in there. I'm gonna move the ball back. So I wanna hit a lower trajectory, good contact draw. Okay, ball back, ball back, ball back. All three of those. So here we go. I'm going to get my club face square to my target line. I got the ball in a neutral position. I'm going to move it back just a little bit. Here we go. Oh yeah, ball flight is lower. That ball definitely has some draw to it, and it was definitely solid. So understanding that you can improve your trajectory, okay, you can improve your contact, and you can change the flight of the golf ball, hook or draw, simply by changing the ball position. You now got some knowledge that can help you head to the golf course and play some better golf.